Mic check 1, 2.
Check.
I think we're good to go. We're good to go. You know what? Kyle, fuck headphones. You're not wearing headphones. We're recording. We're all good. Fuck the headphones. Welcome everybody to the City Life podcast. Would it be called anything else?
Couldn't think of anything better.
Nice hoodie, by the way.
Yeah, well, that was a pretty sweet gift from a friend of mine. So.
Yeah, you got something else there too. I'm glad it didn't break, by the way.
Yeah,
oh my
that
god.
was a close call on that one for sure.
So,
Can't even believe that that happened on camera too. It's you can watch it on our YouTube channel if you like. So pretty sweet.
Yeah, so we're doing a podcast. It's going to be a little bit different. We're on no RSS feed, despite me working and creating a podcast network. This is all video content to start anyways, and how we're going to do it, and it's not going to be like super regular, like maybe once every 2 weeks, something like that. We'll, as part of our rotation, and that's right, we have a rotation coming of new video content. We're going to be doing a short podcast. Basically, we're going to be hitting on topics, and like niche topics. So if like Kyle threw a topic at me earlier today, he's like, Isha, let's talk about music. I was like, Kyle, like are we going to talk about like Matthew Good? Like what in the sphere and category of music are we going to talk about? And so we're not going to always talk about music, but we're going to have a bunch of topics, probably 5 to 7 minute podcast episodes here on the channel. And again, it's part of our regular rotation. So as we do more vlogs, podcasts, music covers, and music videos, we'll probably be pumping out like 2 videos a week. Right now, we're still doing one every what
Friday. We're releasing them on Friday. So make sure to go and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can look us up at the City Life Project. And like Isha said, new videos every week, and we will have all sorts of other content that you can tune into at some point down the road. So just keep your eyes and ears open for us.
So despite Kyle like being super comfortable in front of the mic on like a stage, you know, because you've been the front man for various bands.
Yeah.
And even when you took a step back to be like the lead guitarist for your last band, I mean, you basically were writing all the music and were the front man. Anyways,
pretty much.
How you feeling behind, before we get into our first topic, how you feeling behind the podcast mic? Because like this is my office, literally. This is like this is where I sit back and relax and where I'm most comfortable. But how you feeling behind the podcast mic?
It hasn't been bad. I think you kind of have to get used to the broadcast aspect of it, because you don't really want to sound boring. You know, you want people to actually be like engaged by your personality and stuff. So I think like finding that it's a learning curve, but I think I'm catching on pretty good actually.
Well, without further ado, how about you introduce our first topic for episode 1 of the City Life podcast?
Well, we're going to start chatting about what we're listening to right now, what we're
keeping
vibing
it
on,
simple,
what kind of influences we have musically, and what's on our iPod.
Do you still use an iPod?
Well, iPhone.
Samsung. All right, start us off. What do you got?
I have been vibing lately on Jerry Cantrell's new album called Brighton. He released a couple of tracks over the last few months, and I'm a huge Alice in Chains fan, Jerry Cantrell in general. So like waiting for this album over the last year has just been crazy. And I was so impressed because he takes a completely different dive into things. It's not like most Alice in Chains stuff is
like progressive grunge, right?
It's kind of like, I don't want to say ominous, but it's dark. It feels dark. He talks about
progressive grunge,
dark topics, and it's heavy-hearted feeling most of the stuff. And he actually took a change on this one, and by the title Brighton, it actually sounds quite a bit happier. It seems that he's adapted in this stage of his life at, mid 50s. I think he's like 55 or something like that. So he's growing up. It's pretty cool.
I love it. All right. I'll take an opposite. Actually, it's not even an opposite turn. I'm going the punk route, and I've been listening to this unbelievable punk band out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Pup. That's right, P-U-P. Now, if you're a fan of punk, I mean, in the broad stroke of punk, whether it's like pop punk to like your traditional punk, I'd say Pup hits all of those fan bases, and they've been around since like 2010 is like them. I'd say they were like independents and like all, They were the indie band at that point in Canada, but since I believe their first studio album, let me check here. Yeah, it came out in 2013, which again is unreal. I love it. Then they followed it up in 2016, 2019, and then this year in 2021. Unbelievable records, unbelievable artists, really catchy.
Definitely really
choruses, but still like hard. Like it's not pop punk. Like I wouldn't say it falls into like, and Sum 41's like right on the door too, because like they had some heavier shit, but like it wasn't like Sum 41, Blink 182, like that crew, because they're harder than that. They're more traditional punk than that. But the choruses are so catchy and their licks are really good, but you can tell that they're actual like they're real musicians. They're not just power chord strumming motherfuckers. Like these guys,
super consistent. Like Isha turned me on to these guys as well, and I usually listen at work with a bunch of shuffle on my iPhone, and they come on periodically, and it's non-skip for me. I grew up listening to Blink 182 and Sum 41 and all that kind of stuff as well. So like when these guys come on, it's a little bit more
kind of like Dillinger 4 and Blink 182 mixed together.
Certainly, right? Like
and
not
punk
as
fans
adolescent as Blink, right? But like,
there you go, yeah.
Good.
And punk fans, you'll know. Check out Dillinger 4. Oh my god, Jingle for a Product is one of the best, not only punk albums, but in my opinion, one of the best and most consistent albums ever. It's unbelievable, and that's like 2008. Like we're going way back with that. Okay, one more. Give me one more.
Okay, well. Other than that, oddly enough, this is like a throwback way back to the 90s, but I've been jiving on Eric Clapton lately.
Nice.
Just listening to a lot of stuff. Right now, the one that's been playing most is Change the World. I don't know what it is about that song, but it's actually kind of a softer one, but I really enjoy it.
I remember our friend, Chris Lenegro, told me that if you want to learn the blues, if you want to learn pentatonics, start covering Eric Clapton. Wonderful Tonight, Layla,
Absolutely.
Cocaine, all those riffs in that one really give you a good pentatonic feel. So and I was lucky enough to be able to go see Eric Clapton.
So jealous.
In I want to say it was 2011 when I graduated. It was unbelievable. Last one for me, Olivia Dean. She released an EP. She's an artist out of, I'll say folk, but she's just a great all-around musician out of Australia. She released an EP. I believe it was like a 4 or 5 song EP last year. My roommate, who's Australian at the time, was blasting it. She was always singing to it, and I was like, who is this? Like, this is unreal. Like, it's almost like hip-hop folk, all real instrument, from like cello to violin to like her just plucking away on her Fender Strat. And she's an unbelievable singer, and just some unreal songs, like very unique songs with catchy riffs that you're like, I don't care what genre this is, like this is really, really good music. Last year she had about like 2,000 to 5,000 views on her videos, both music videos and covers. Now, I mean, she's pushing like 400 to 600, right? So she's taken that next step. I believe a studio album has come out. I've just been so hooked on that EP. I've really looked at much more, but I've started to venture out and started listening to more Olivia Dean. And my last honorable mention, Kyle Mudge. I've been listening to this Mudge album lately. It's pretty damn good.
Thanks,
so it will be in the link below. I'll throw it on screen here, but go check out Kyle's music as well. And I mean, Silent Army is a given, but quickly, Trenchfinger, as we use a song from that as like our intro to our vlogs, and we'll end off on this note. Yeah, I know that, and you're ironically enough, you're like, yeah, that's one of like the few songs that I didn't write for that band. But that was the band, and we'll talk more about this on different podcasts because we're about to close things up here. But I do want to end on this note. Like, what was it about that band that you wanted to take a step back and focus more on like the writing side, the more, I guess, like technical side of things? Kind of like, I'm a sports guy. We're in the THPN Hockey Podcast Network studio. Shout out THPN. So everything's kind of through a sports perspective at the end of the day. But like, why did you take the perspective as first being like, the top center on the ice, and now in that time anyways, going, behind the bench kind of as like the coach?
Well, I think it was kind of like about musicianship. Like when you're the front man, I find it's really hard to be technical with your guitar playing. Like to sing and play fancy stuff all at the same time it's too difficult. I can't personally do
cracking jokes. You have to catch the vibe of the audience too, and manipulate it, kind of like a comedian does.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to take control. So Trenchfinger was kind of nice because I could focus on guitar playing and just working on different structures. And I'm highly influenced by bands like Soundgarden that just use strange timings and and just really wanted to impress each other with the music that they were making. And that was kind of the same vibe with Trenchfinger. And I think it worked out pretty good out of our 2 albums.
Man, I mean, the first one, it's so hard to find, first of all.
It's not anywhere.
Trenchfinger 2, you can find it Spotify, I was gonna say Apple Podcasts. You can't even find us on Apple Podcasts, only on YouTube. But you can find them on Apple. Is it Apple Music? That's what it's called.
Apple
iTunes.
Music,
okay,
yeah.
fuck Apple Music. As all of Kyle's works and new City Life project things to come. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check us out on Twitter. You can find me at VI Sports Talk. Where can they find you, my friend?
I think it's Kyle Mudge 1 actually on Twitter.
With that said, folks, you can hear the music. It's about to wrap up, so we're wrapping up here. Episode 1 in the books. With that, we say peace.